Welcome back to Talk of the Town on WHTC, Holland's Cool FM, on WHTC.com, and on the WHTC app for your smartphone. Once again, here's your host, Gary Stevens.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town for this Tuesday, August 18th. It is the third Tuesday of the month, which means at this time, let's find out what's new in Holland Public Schools with its superintendent of Holland Public Schools, Nick Cassidy, on the other side of our table. Nick, good morning. Welcome back.
Good morning, Gary. Thanks for having me.
And if you have a question for the superintendent, Mr. Cassidy is happy to answer it at 616-395-1450. Academic 2027 begins in the classroom 2 weeks from Thursday, the 27th of August.
Less than 2 weeks.
Well, we're talking about the first school bells ringing.
Yeah. Oh, it's creeping up fast, and we have a ton of things going on across the district right now, especially finishing up so many construction projects that we have right now. Staff will start back on the 24th, so man, we're scrambling. I wish we had another week, but we'll be ready to go and ready to welcome kids.
Couple of orientation situations. One at Holland High tonight, the 18th. The next one at the middle school on Thursday, the 20th. And then the open house a week from tonight.
Yeah, so we have freshman family night tonight, 8:17 or from 6 to 8 o'clock. So any incoming freshmen, even if you have a ninth grader who's interested in Holland, come on out. They can see the school. They can get questions answered, figure out how they can get plugged into Holland High School with whether it's sports, performing arts, clubs, whatever. Then on Thursday, we have our sixth grade orientation, and that's at the middle school from 5 to 6:30. And as you can see, those transition years are really important. So we want to make sure we open it up and carve out time just for those families going through transitions from elementary to middle and middle to high school. So same thing, come out, get plugged in, see the school, get your schedules. You can walk it, meet your teachers, but also just figure out how you can get plugged in and be successful at the middle and high schools. And then we have our open houses at all of our schools on the 25th from 4 to 6.
Talk a little bit, as a principal yourself before you became administrator and now, of course, the superintendent, but talk a little bit about the transition from elementary to middle and then middle to high school. I just think of my time when I was growing up where you only were working in a smaller school and then you go to the big school. And for me, it was a big jump. I don't know whether or not it's just a perception for somebody who would be 13, 14 years old that they think it's a big, wide jump or what. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely changes and jumps, and it's something that we've noticed throughout the years is some kids struggle with that more than others. Some are coming and they're so excited to go to a bigger school with more, where they're changing classes every hour and they're plugged into sports and all of that. And some are really nervous by it. So we have really tried to work with our elementary schools to figure out ways to bring them in the spring and they can see the school, work with our counselors to try to at least understand the schedule, and then host a couple of events to at least try to get them in, because it is a big step for elementary students going to middle school where you are changing classes every hour, where you're combining with 3 other elementary schools and kids coming from other places too into one building. It's a big change for 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds. And then the same thing can be said at high school. And the big change there is they've had that scheduled practice with the schedules. But when you're going to high school, you're now at a point where every class is counting towards graduation, and it's not just a Holland thing, but everywhere. That is, if there's a student who has a tendency to struggle, it's going to be a freshman coming in with those increased expectations and increased workload that comes to the high school level. So we've been really trying to address that with working together collaboratively between the middle and high school to try to bridge that gap.
I'll put the question out and then you can change it or whatever. Are the instructors sort of told or at least cautioned about, look for kids who are a little quiet in the first few days and the first few weeks of school. The ones that seem to be withdrawn because it might be overwhelming. And those keep an eye on, because just to get them out of their shell.
Yeah, and it's really important those first couple weeks. And you'll hear me say it, I'm getting ready to give my back-to-school speech. And a big part of that every year is taking this time, the first couple weeks of school. We don't need to push forward in academics right away. What you need to do is focus on getting to know your kids and building relationships. And that's when you start to realize those things. So as we work on routines and procedures and getting to know kids and building relationships and just all of the systems in place in the building, that's where those things come out. And we have the supports. We're fortunate enough in Holland where we've been able to take advantage of grants and utilize our funds to get those additional supports in place for kids who need them. And so our teachers are great at identifying the kids who need that extra support and then working with them and their families to make sure that it's in place.
Going alongside, especially if it's a young lady or a young man that, and I'm thinking high school more than I am the middle school, that are maybe new to Holland, that didn't go to school with the kids in elementary or in middle school. Their family moved and they're starting a new, first day at a new high school, and they don't know anybody.
Yep. And that's why it's so important to carve out that time for the team building and just getting to know kids and introducing them. It's definitely a struggle, and we have new kids all the time. I mean, there's quite a bit of turnover of kids coming in and out in Holland, as there are with a lot of schools around here. So it's important to bring them in right away and get to know them.
All right. As we begin a new school year, Nick Cassidy, we have a new school that's open, although Holland Heights has been around for a number of years. The ribbon was cut this past weekend on really welcoming kids back to Holland Heights.
Yeah, this has been a 2-year project that we've been going through planning, and we've worked with OAK and GMB, the contractor and architects, to put this in place. Principal Durr has been heavily involved all the way through and working with the ODC to come up with a school that matches our nature-based focus over there. And so with the ribbon cutting the other day and bringing kids and community members in to see that, it was a great day Sunday night. It was a huge turnout. I was pleasantly surprised at the number of coming in, not just kids, but just community members who are here. And over and over again, I heard people say, this is a great use of our dollars. And so that is really good to hear, because I'm always cautious about that. Like whenever we're going to the community to ask for something, I want to deliver something that matches their expectations. So it was good to get that reassurance. But that building is, it's definitely something that we can be proud of, and that community and neighborhood can be proud of.
All right, so now Holland Heights is done. The work is being done on the athletic facilities at Holland High School, and we've talked about that, and that's been a high-profile situation. Language Academy. What's the time frame on getting the Language Academy into its new home?
Yeah, so if we back up a little bit to Heights, when we built that, Heights has been a 2-section building, and it's growing quite a bit. Lately, I think when I checked the other day, they're up almost 40 students this year coming in. But it has been 2 classrooms per grade. We built that building to house 3 sections. Right now, we are remodeling West, and that's in phases. So we're finishing phase 2, and this one's down to the wire. So we have inspections going today and next week to make sure that everything's set for the school year. That West has been a 3-section building per grade, and we built that, remodeled it with 4 sections. After this school year, we'll divide Jefferson, where half the students will go to Heights, half of them will go to West, and then we'll start a construction project at the Jefferson building, where that will be the new home for HLA to start the 2028 school year.
All right. During the transition with Holland Heights, it was in a different building. The students had to go to a different building.
Yes, they were at our Longfellow building.
That building is going to be eventually sold by the district, or you still got plans for that?
Yeah, we still have plans right now. We are actually leasing that to Holland Christian for this year and the start of next year, as they're rebuilding their South Elementary School. and so we worked with them to do that. The plans that we have to figure out is, and we will be keeping Longfellow for different plans, whether work with the ISD and other community programs that we have coming through there. We'll be offloading Maplewood, but we'll also be looking at offloading our Van Royalty building.
Okay.
Yep. There's a lot of moving pieces here.
But again, keep in mind, I've been around when, the Washington Avenue building got sold in that property as well. So, and of course the Fell building before it became part of, with Evergreen Commons and all that, it was the previous home of the administration before they moved to the Holland campus.
Yeah, that was where I interviewed for my principal position, was at the Washington building. And it's a lot of change, and I know, but it also is allowing us to guarantee that every kid is going to be in an updated facility, and it's going to reduce our operational costs so we can invest in people instead of brick and mortar buildings. And that's something that will really help lower our operational costs, getting into fewer buildings at the elementary level.
All right, time for you to make a pitch. Get some bus drivers. Every district's asking. I mean, our friends over in West Ottawa, we all know about them, but Holland Public Schools, you need some bus drivers too, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in a good spot, but we could always use more. I mean, I know when I met with our transportation director the other day, would really like 2 more. Just to give us the flexibility, and then we can change up some things with routes. And we're really good unless something happens. If someone got sick, then we're pulling drivers in, or our secretary or our transportation director has to drive. We have people who can wait in the wings to pick up different routes if needed, but we'd like to be in a spot where we don't have to rely on that. But it's a great job. It's a really important job too, and something that we drive home is these are the first people that our kids see in the morning when they get on, and so they make a huge difference. And we have some just great bus drivers who've been there for a long time, and we're doing some great things. And Vicky Cornianu is she's been in as transportation director for going on a year now, and she's been doing great work over there and really stabilized that department.
I know this is not under your bailiwick, but I'm sort of anticipating, I don't think we'll get a call on it, but concerns about getting kids, well, you got the new Holland Heights School, getting kids around there because of the construction work over on Waverly right now.
Well, every year it always happens. Right before school starts, we seem to have roads closed, and we always seem to make it work. But the one thing that we just talk to our parents about, too, is as we run these routes and stuff, those first couple days, we might be a little late coming through as we work out those routes, but we make adjustments every day. The big thing with it is we have kids who sign up for transportation. They're in there, and so our buses will stop, and after a while, we start to figure out, okay, these kids signed up as a just in case, but they're getting rides, and those routes become more and more efficient. But you throw in a couple extra construction projects around the city, and it's diverting traffic, and we're getting stuck, and it can be a little bit of a mess the first couple days.
Let's talk about a couple of, by the way, if you have a question for Holland School Superintendent Nick Cassidy, 616-395-1450. Let's talk about a couple of ongoing programs. One is Teachers Live Here. It has been very successful in not only retaining teachers, but as a recruiting tool for teachers. How are we looking at that program as a new school year begins?
So we are just starting our 4th cycle of Teachers Live Here. Started July 1. The first cycle was a short one. It was January to the end of June. Right now we have had 25 staff members who've taken advantage and been granted these Teacher Live Here grants. 24 of them have found homes. We still have one that's looking, and 20 of the 24 who have found homes have found them in the city limits of Holland within our attendance zone, which is a big win for us. And then 100% of those teachers are still employed with the district. As part of that, the agreement is that they stay with us for 5 years, but we also know once they put down roots here, they're not going to leave. Part of the issue we are dealing with so many, because of the cost of housing in Holland, we had people driving in from Grand Rapids and Byron Center and everywhere else. Well, when a job comes open closer to home, they have to be tempted by that, and I understand. But with this, it's been remarkable. At this point, we've had, through community partners, this isn't coming from Holland Public Funds, $660,000 have gone to just supporting our teachers finding homes in Holland. For the 26-27 school year, we try to make adjustments a little bit to factor in cost of living. The closing cost or the down payment will be $27,500 for teachers who are awarded this grant, and then an additional $2,500 going towards closing costs. So that'll be an even $30,000 for teachers who buy a home within Holland.
Okay, and it's got to be home ownership. It cannot be, well.
Yes, they have to be. They have to buy. They're not buying it and putting it up on Airbnb or something.
Yeah, there are some requirements along the lines. Let's get to the phones before we get to the break. Good morning. You're on the line with Superintendent Nick Cassidy.
Hello.
Yes, you're on the air.
And teachers should be paid what they're worth and what they can teach a student. That's my opinion. I have to listen. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the call. That leads to one other thing, and then we'll take a quick break. Dealings with the administration, the district, and its unionized instructors. Normally, I mean, I think in my 25 years here, we've had one work stoppage involving teachers in Holland Public Schools. I would think that relations between the teachers union and the district has gone well so far.
Yeah, we have a great working relationship with our teachers union, and this is a contract year that we come through, and we both want the same thing, right? We want to make sure that we're fiscally responsible and we have a financially stable district, but we also know we have to take care of our teachers, and so we need to make sure that we dedicate as much resources as we can towards our staff to get them in, but also just working on contract language that not only supports teachers but honors the work that they do in the classroom. But it's been a very positive relationship. It's something that I'm really proud of, and I know that that's not the case in every district.
As the leader of the district, in terms of being the operational leader, a lot of the questions will be posed to you as to how contracts are negotiated and the stuff like that. You're not directly involved in it, I believe.
I am.
Well, you're not are you the lead negotiator in that regard, or not really?
Yeah, so myself and Katie Pennington, who is our Deputy Superintendent of Human Resources, and then we also involve Matt Murphy-Dubé, who is our CFO.
Okay, I'm just saying, so therefore, all right, we're talking with the leader of the district here, then we'll have to get the collective bargaining, the leader of the union on the other side too. But to a certain extent, because it's a contract year, do you and and the union sort of have off, maybe initial thought discussions early on before actual formal negotiations begin?
Yeah, so we already met with them this summer. Katie and I met with Sarah LeFaber, who's our union president, and then Lisa Sokolowski, who is chief negotiator, just to get some dates on schedule so we can start looking at contractual language first, and making sure that what we're doing matches the contract language in there, and vice versa. And then the tough thing is we get budgets so late. So when you start talking about financials, it's we're often guessing with that. So it's tough to do that too early in the year, because you don't know what the budget will come in until summer, maybe if things come through. I mean, last year we didn't get a budget until October, until it was finalized. So we get assumptions and guesses, and we have to do the best we can with that.
What's most comfortable? 2-year, 3-year contract?
We've had 2 years each contract that I can remember back, but we'll see what comes of it, this year. But I would love a multi-year one. It just makes it nice.
Let's get back to the phone. 616-395-1450. Good morning. You're on the line with the superintendent.
Yes, in light of the governor's desire to improve our education system and get away from so much electronics, as other school districts are doing, I'm wondering what Holland Public Schools are doing this year to make it more hands-on learning, more writing, more reading from books instead of laptops. I'll hang up and listen.
All right, thank you very much for the call.
Yeah, we actually got together this summer and formed a committee just to look at this topic of what is our mission and what are our values around technology use. And we have several different things that come out of that, like some non-negotiables that we're looking at moving forward with in terms of when is technology appropriate and at what age. For instance, technology shouldn't be used as a time filler. Like if a kid gets done with his work, his or her work, that shouldn't be a reward or shouldn't be able to be used in place of recess going outside. And we're trying to work at like making sure that technology is used to expand knowledge and not to be in place of instruction and collaboration and creativity. It can help with all of that, but we need to make sure that technology isn't the focus. It's a tool to access and create more and collaborate. And so that's something that we're really trying to get a better handle on, but definitely pulling back use of technology in certain areas. And then, I mean, we had the cell phone ban that came out last year. We've already had systems and processes in place to make sure that, I'm not saying that you win that fight all the time with 3,000 kids walking through the door, but we had systems in place to make sure that that technology and that disruption in our schools has been limited.
Along those lines, then, yeah, I think to a certain extent, teachers as well as students use technology, use the tablets, use the laptops as a tool, not a crutch.
Exactly. Yeah, and really trying to figure out get a handle on some guidelines that we can put in place, guidelines and expectations for our teachers that to make sure it's easy for them to follow and make sure that they have the resources. But I agree with the caller. We want our kids outside. We want our kids engaged in hands-on learning and applying information in ways that they're going to remember. And so that's something that we're going to continue to explore.
And one final thing, one thing that state lawmakers have been really trying to push this year is phonics education. I don't know whether or not that's something that Holland Public Schools has been doing or goes with the grain or against the grain on that. Your thoughts about some of this phonics discussion that we've been hearing out of Lansing? Yeah,
our staff has been working through letters training now it's going on the second year of getting a lot of our staff going through. One thing that's really encouraging too is incorporating some of this training into the undergraduate program, so teachers have this knowledge coming into it, and that's something that I think we'll definitely see the benefits from that. But yeah, one of the things that we've noticed over the years too is that lack of phonics instruction has negatively impacted our students in their reading.
And of course, phonics is one thing. A few years ago, there was a lot of talk about improve those math scores, and it seems like there's a wave. We have a trend for math. Now it's trend for reading. What do we have next? Trend for history? I'd like to see that.
Well, the need for improvement in each of those areas hasn't gone away. It's just a matter of where you're prioritizing your time right now, and there's a million different reasons why those have been struggles and areas of concern across the board.
If you want to learn more about what's going on at Holland Public Schools, hollandpublicschools.org is the website, hollandpublicschools.org. Superintendent Nick Cassidy, as always, thank you very much for joining us today on Talk of the Town, telling us about some of the things going on at Holland Public Schools. Wish you and everybody at Holland Public Schools well. If all goes well, let's do this again in the month of September and get an update not only on the district, but also on the Holland Education Foundation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gary.
Thank you very much. Nick Cassidy of Holland Public Schools. NBC News, Michael Kastner straight ahead, followed by WHTC News. More Talk at the Town. Our second hour includes Brian Spencer's What's New Around Holland and a conversation with the manager of the Herrick District Library, Ron Suzak. You're listening to Talk of the Town on WHTC, Holland's Cool FM.